Hey, this is Senator Justin Reedy. I'm coming to you as we near the end of the 10th week of the 2026 General Assembly session. This is the week before crossover. So this has been the busiest week of the session so far. We'll have a little bit of a lull next week, really the next week and a half after Monday, and then we'll have a jam-packed final sort of week and a half to close the session. The biggest issue we dealt with this week was the state budget and the BRFA that accompanies it, the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act that goes with that. It's two separate bills, balances the budget. As Republicans, we got on the floor with the attitude of this budget is balanced and there's technically no tax or fee increases in it. I'll get to that in a moment. There's one issue I think you could call it a bit of a tax, but there's no taxes or fee increases in it. But we're looking at deficits projected over the next several years, largely because of a surge in spending on the Blueprint for Education and a surge in costs in our health system with Medicaid and other things surrounding Medicaid. And so for us to pass a budget after massive tax increases, this year we didn't, quote unquote, there's no taxes or fees in this, but the budget grows by $3 billion up to over $70 billion a year. And it's grown exponentially year over year as far as the total amount of money spent. So after we raised taxes, the largest tax increase in state history last year, we know there's been 350 plus tax or fee or licensing fee raises since Wes Moore took office in 2023. Now we've got a budget that says, hey, we're not raising taxes or fees, but that we're growing spending. And it's funded by these, largely, we're balanced the budget thanks to you, the taxpayer, who we have just been absolutely raking over the coals. So at the end of the day, I decided to vote against the operating budget. It is balanced, as I said. There are some things that were cut back or trimmed in there, but overall it grows. And then we had, though, a very extensive fight on the budget and the BRFA, where Republican senators offered well over a dozen combined in the two bills, substantive amendments that would have responsibly cut spending back, and then also would have allowed us to roll back some of these car registration tax increases that have gone into effect. We tried to get rid of the computer tax, which this new computer services tax, which actually isn't even bringing in that much money because it's so, as we predicted, people are finding other ways to get these services that don't involve Maryland businesses. So we're not even collecting the money they thought. We also I tried to get my emissions bill, which hasn't moved. I tried to get that amended to where they would end that emissions program. Those were all rejected, mostly on a party line vote. Although on a couple of the taxes, particularly the computer services tax, we did get a lot of bipartisan votes on it. So we're hoping we can come back next year and try to repeal some of these taxes. But next year, we're facing huge budget deficits. So I ended up voting against the budget and the BRFA because I really don't believe it was the responsible choice to keep increasing spending. They also cut, though, one of the cuts, we restored some of the cuts to DDA, but there's still a significant cut to DDA services. And I look at one of our amendments that we offered, Senator Corderman from Western Maryland offered, was to have every state agency cut 5%. If every state agency found 5% of cuts in the budget that was proposed, we could have saved over $500 million, which would be enough to either restore funding to some of those DDA things or be able to cut back some of these tax increases. So we had a big, long debate about that. And not just about those issues, but we really dug into the details on the budget and have got some very telling responses. The Governor Moore uses a lot of money from the Strategic Energy Investment Fund that we've talked about, which is your ratepayer dollars. He uses a bunch of that money to help balance the budget. So it's like, how is this any different than a tax now, where you're paying into this Strategic Energy Fund, the utilities are, and they're passing it on to you, and your money's just being used to help balance the budget. That's not how it's supposed to be used. So that has been the big focus. We are working on, there's literally hundreds of bills that have come to the floor, and we've been trying to fight off some bills that are bad. I could go through some of them, maybe have the opportunity later, seeing how we end up here this weekend. If a bill doesn't pass by Monday, it's very likely it won't pass because it doesn't get over to the other house in time. And so there's a number of bills I'm trying to hold up on the floor that I think are bad. There's also some positive legislation that's gotten through, and we'll try to summarize some of that a little bit later. Last thing, the vagrancy bill, still on hold. hoping we're going to get that to actually get off the floor. We'll see. It's on the Senate floor, but we've been able to hold it up longer. There are a number of problems that have even people who don't normally agree with me agree that there's an issue with. So I'm hoping we can kill that bill about that would basically legalize vagrancy. So that's still there, but we've been holding it. So we're going to keep fighting on that and other issues as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you. It has been a long and tiring week, but I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions or concerns, and hope you have a great weekend. Thanks.